A MacBook Pro killer, a $139 Windows phone, and Reddit without the comments. Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode 439 for Tuesday, October 6th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. Welcome. I am Megan Morrone. Let's get to the tech news. It's probably too early to make year-in-review announcements, but let me be the first to say that Microsoft wins 2015, beginning with its Windows 10 event in January and following up with a year spent announcing apps on all platforms. Microsoft wowed us again today by unveiling a plethora of new devices, including the Surface Book, the Surface Pro, the Lumia 950, the Lumia 950 XL, the Band 2, and the HoloLens Development Edition. After the break, we'll talk to Natt Guran from the Next Web about her hands-on review with the new Surface Book and what she thinks of the new Lumia phones. But here's a rundown of the parade of products Microsoft showed off today. Let's start with the Surface Book. Wired is calling the new addition to the Surface lineup the ultimate hybrid PC. The Verge says that the device is on its way to becoming a MacBook Pro killer. This is the first time Microsoft has made a laptop, and they're claiming that it's the fastest 13-inch laptop ever made. The machine features a touch display that detaches to double as a tablet. Inside, there's an optional NVIDIA GPU and up to 12 hours of battery life with a price tag of $1,499. And in case you're keeping track, the 13-inch MacBook Pro starts at $1,299. You can pre-order the Surface Book tomorrow online at MicrosoftStore.com. If you would prefer to get out of your pajamas and shop in a brick-and-mortar store, you'll be able to grab one at a Microsoft store as well as authorized resellers and select partner retailers at the end of this month. There's also a new Surface Pro with a 12.3-inch display, a Skylake processor, a new Surface Pen, and a fingerprint reader. Pre-orders for that device start today at $899 with a shipping date of October 26th. We also got our first look at the new Lumia phones today, the Lumia 950 and 950 XL with the tagline, "The phone that works like your PC." Microsoft is really pushing this idea that they announced back in January about a unified operating system across all platforms. The Lumia 950 boasts 3 gigs of RAM and a Snapdragon 808 processor, making it one of the most powerful Windows phones that we've ever seen. The Lumia XL is a little larger, as its name would suggest. It features a 5.7-inch display and liquid cooling. Both phones support Qi wireless charging. The 950 starts at $549. The 950 XL starts at $649. For the budget conscious, there's the Lumia 550. The 4.7-inch AMOLED 1 LTE handset comes with a 1.2 gigahertz Snapdragon 210 processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, 8 gigabytes of storage, and it costs only $139. And next, Microsoft unveiled their new Band wearable. The latest version of their activity tracker looks similar to the original device with a little less bulk and hopefully a little more comfort. The AMOLED display has also been optimized for a curved design for $249, about $100 less than the Apple Watch and about $50 more than the previous Band. Microsoft offers GPS tracking, sleep tracking, a continuous optical heart rate monitor, a barometer to track elevation changes, and a sensor that measures VO2 max, which is the maximum amount of oxygen your body can process during exercise. You can get your hands on the new Band on October 30th. And finally, we get to the much anticipated Microsoft HoloLens augmented reality device. You can cross that one off your holiday gift list, unless you're already working on your list for 2016, and you're a developer, and you have $3,000 burning a hole in your pocket. The HoloLens Development Edition will ship in the first quarter of next year, but starting today, developers can apply online for the opportunity to buy a unit. But of course, Microsoft did not miss another opportunity to make us salivate with their HoloLens demo at their event today in New York City. Coming up, we'll talk to Natt Guran from the Next Web about why the new Surface Book has turned her into a Microsoft believer. But first, this episode is brought to you by Epson. Epson's revolutionary EcoTank line of printers for home and office introduce a new age in printing. The new EcoTank ET4550 wireless all-in-one printer doesn't use ink cartridges. It features an innovative refillable ink tank. It comes with enough ink to print up to 8,500 pages, and it offers easy wireless printing from tablets and smartphones. All EcoTank printers deliver an unbeatable combination of convenience and value with ultra-low-cost replacement ink bottles. Now you have the freedom of printing without running out of ink. So visit Epson.com/EcoTank today to transform the way your home, office, or work group prints. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the new Epson EcoTank printers. That's EPSON.com/EcoTank. And we thank Epson for their support. Our guest today loves her MacBook but prefers Android to iOS. Back in the spring, she wrote about Microsoft's Surface Pro 3, of which she said the third time is almost a charm. Joining us today with our hands-on review of the newly announced Surface Book is Natt Guran, commissioning editor at the Next Web. Welcome, Natt.
Hi.
So in your review, you said the Surface Book is the first time a Windows device truly wowed you. Tell us what's so impressive about this new laptop.
Well, I haven't used a Windows device since probably, like 2006. So it's been a while, and I've attended many Windows events, and I just haven't really found it to be something for the everyday user. I think it's very powerful for someone who works in business, who is using the Microsoft productivity tools all the time. But a lot of us don't do that. So I think for the first time, the Surface Book is something that's really friendly to people who are using it casually, to students, to business professionals. And I think it's something that Microsoft really just stepped up the game this time. It comes with this flexibility of using it as a tablet or as a full-size laptop. And if you keep it connected and use it as a canvas mode, you can draw on it, and it has just that much more power when you keep it connected. It's just something that's really, truly impressed me for the first time since, I've used the Surface. I like it, but I just haven't found it to be quite for me or enough for me to drop my MacBook yet. And this is something that I might truly consider, especially when you consider that Windows 10 now has a bunch of these great tools like Cortana and the new Microsoft Edge browser and Continuum and all these things that are, really making Windows something else and really stepping it up and innovating and competing with the likes of Apple and all that.
Well, from a looks perspective, the thing that really sets it apart from the MacBook when it's connected is that hinge. It sort of curves like a scorpion tail. From when you were looking at it and playing with it, does it look like something could get stuck in there? That's what it looks like to me.
It does, but I don't think more stuff would be stuck in it than my regular MacBook. My MacBook has a regular hinge with the little slot in the middle, and I get some dust in there when I'm traveling with it. And I don't think that anyone would get a different amount with that hinge. If you keep your gadgets clean enough, keep it clean, wipe it down every now and then, I don't really see that being a much bigger problem than any other kind of laptop design out there.
So you said the screen detaches to become a tablet. How easy is it to detach it?
There's a button that you have to push. There's a really tiny button, kind of like an eject button, that you hold, and it turns green. And then when it's green, you can just pull it apart, which I think is great. Some people might be used to the Surface Pro where you can just kind of pull apart the type cover from the keyboard. And I think it's a lot better and more secure that the Surface Book has that button. So, if you're tossing it around or you're traveling, it doesn't just come apart. So, yeah, it doesn't pull right off, but there's a little button, and I think it works great.
So it wouldn't just fall off as you were carrying it. It's not that easy to detach.
No, it's. I find that the Surface Pro cover has a lot of it. You tug it a little bit and it'll come apart, but this one needs a button to pull apart, so it's gonna stay secure.
So you mentioned that it has an 8-megapixel rear camera without a flash and a 5-megapixel front shooter. Would you really envision taking photographs with this?
I've never been the kind of person to take photos with tablets anyway, but I thought it was interesting because since you can flip the tablet around and have it kind of in the canvas mode. So, the front of the screen is facing you and the back of the screen with the rear shooter is facing away from you. You can live stream that way. You can maybe stream from in front of you and still use Skype and, the camera in front. I don't know that you can use both cameras simultaneously. I haven't tested that out yet. But I think it's kind of interesting because you can then live stream from a laptop and have it kind of sitting and facing it an opposite direction. You're still using the screen for something else, which I think opens it to a lot more possibilities in terms of camera use.
And so what did you think of the Surface Pen?
Last year I remember, and I got a lot of heat for this, they're saying that the Surface Pen seemed a little silly for $50. But, the more I've used it, the more I realize that it's very powerful. The sensitivity is incredible. I've, been sketching a lot with it. I have a really great time using the paint application and just drawing with it. And using OneNote really does feel as close as writing to paper as the stylus come. And this year now they've introduced 5 different colors and new pen tips, which, is not the biggest deal for someone who just kind of wants a stylus. But if someone is really into art or design or sketches a lot or is an architect and needs that kind of feel, I think that's nice that Microsoft offers that option. It's not going to be for everybody.
Is it still $50, the newest Surface Pen?
I don't know, but I assume it will be. I haven't double checked that yet.
Yeah, I mean, now that sounds cheap compared to the Apple Pencil at $100.
Absolutely. And, there was a lot of Apple diss going on at the event as well. They said that the new pen now has an eraser mode, and they did a little dig at Apple about how their pencil does not have a pencil. So, there's a lot going on today.
So the new Microsoft Edge browser lets you write on pages. Do you think that is a really useful feature?
For someone who annotates a lot, sure. I can see this being useful for students or teachers and who are just kind of annotating things, or editors like myself if I'm on the go and I'm trying to edit my peers' pieces and can't really have access to typing, then I would write it really quickly if they can read my handwriting, hopefully. I find that, and I think that screenshotting is a thing that people do a lot now on Twitter or on Facebook, that capability is really useful for people who are, online a lot, sharing a lot.
Right. And you also say that the pen can be used as a shortcut to bring up Cortana. How does that work?
Indeed. There's a button that you hold and you can just talk to the computer and Cortana will come up, and you can search on Google or ask her to bring up, your calendar or whatever that you need Cortana to do. And it's super simple. All you have to do is hold a button. You don't really talk into the pen because it doesn't have a microphone, but if you are nearby the computer, you just speak into the microphone there.
That makes a lot of sense for those of us who are still embarrassed to talk to our devices, as I am.
No, yeah. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the Amazon Fire TV remote, which has a microphone built in. So it doesn't have that yet, but I could see it being something that Microsoft might integrate a year from now.
So you also wrote about the new Lumia phones that Microsoft announced today, the 5.2-inch 950, the 5.7-inch 950 XL. Can you see yourself replacing your Android phone with either of these?
I don't know yet because, it is a beautiful phone, by the way. I do love the finishes. It's got this, a nice chrome or magnesium finish that feels expensive and it's very light, but it is a little big for me. And the reason I've stuck with my phone, and I've used several Androids, but I keep going back to my trusty HTC One, the original version from 2013. The only reason I do is because it's running Google Play Edition, which is discontinued, and I just love it so much because it runs really quickly. And my secondary phone is a Galaxy Note because the camera is just unbeatable. So, I haven't tested the camera with the Lumia well enough, and I haven't really given it a go yet, but the one reason I have stuck with my Android is because of just how fast it is and how I could use it worldwide. And I think it's easier for someone who travels internationally.
And these phones, of course, are going to be running Windows 10. Are we ready to run Windows 10 on our phones?
Microsoft certainly is. The phone has Continuum, which means that you can go from phone to PC with just a dock connector, which is amazing. I think it's the only phone that behaves as a PC in your pocket, and it's very impressive what it can do. You can connect it to a dock and then connect it to a screen and go right from your phone to your screen and work as if, you're on a laptop. Basically, at the demo today, they did a document editing demo where they were inserting some photos and making some slides and make changes, and the experience, looks exactly like PC, and it's incredible how much they can do with just a phone.
It will be interesting because, of course, with iOS, there's still, the iPad Pro is still going to be running iOS versus the MacBook running a different operating system. And it'll be interesting to see which direction we're going to at this point.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. You know, like Microsoft is very good at marketing one thing. They make Windows 10 and that's it. You know, it's universal, and it's not like Apple with iOS and OS X, which is two different things. It's not Google with the Chrome experience and the Android experience. They try to merge that time to time, but you know, Microsoft knows what it wants with Windows and makes it universal and across all of its devices. So it's very flexible for someone to come into the system and know that no matter what gadget they'll get, it works across everything.
Well, we'll see. Well, Natt Guran, thank you so much for joining us. You're the U.S. editor at The Next Web, at Natt Guran on Twitter. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ryan.
Take care. And finally tonight, a few pieces of non-Microsoft news, just for you news junkies out there. Today, Twitter launched Moments, formerly known as Project Lightning. This new feature is being billed as a way for people to follow events. Twitter calls it the best of what's happening on Twitter in an instant. I checked it out, and I was immediately disappointed to learn that the only way to drill down by topic is through the tabs, which include a Today tab, news, sports, entertainment, and fun. No technology tab. Twitter. Who do you think uses Twitter? Twitter. And in other news, today Reddit launched a news site called Upvoted. According to the Redditorial by co-founder Alexis Ohanian, Upvoted has a dedicated editorial team who will curate stories from Reddit's top content. Popular stories are verified, rewritten, and repackaged. But there's one big thing missing, the community. Of course, it's the community who posts and votes for the stories that the editorial team will then rewrite. But if you'd like to comment, you are out of luck. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. We still welcome your comments any way you want to send them. One way is through Facebook. Thanks to Matthias Schultz, who posted a comment on my discussion with Natalie Morris about the recent Women in the Workplace report. Matthias writes, while listening to episode 435, I was thinking about why people are pushed into particular corporate roles. People have myopic views of the world. In my experience, managers cannot understand why their employees would not aspire to become managers. And the same is true of C-level executives. I think this is why Mrs. Sandberg focuses on when women will occupy half the C-level jobs in the Valley. That is her measure of success. And naturally, she assumes everyone else should have the same values. Thank you so much for your comments, Matthias. You can post your comments on Facebook, or you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Megan Morrone. You can also subscribe to the show at twit.tv/TN2, and you can write to us at tn2@twit.tv. And you can watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Don't miss our morning news program, Tech News Today, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Megan Morrone. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by CashFly.com.